Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Ninda.
Jai Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So would somebody like to read today?
I can read if it's okay, the background noise.
I'm sorry?
Is it okay? I'm reading because there is a lot of noise around my place. It's fine?
Yeah.
The Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord is cognizant and all-powerful, and by his causeless mercy, he empowers a living entity to receive his mercy. People in general, being under the spell of conditioned life, are averse to rendering devotional service and practicing Krishna consciousness. They are unaware of the teachings of Krishna consciousness, which reveal one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the process by which one can return to the spiritual world, and the ultimate goal of life, which is to return home back to Godhead. Because these things are unknown to conditioned souls, Lord Chaitanya, out of his causeless mercy, instructed Rūpa Gosvāmī in the principles of devotional service. Later, Rūpa Gosvāmī distributed this science to the people in general.
So, the Supreme Lord, He is all-knowing and all-powerful. He's cognizant and all-powerful. And how can He empowers a living entity to receive His mercy? Now, His mercy is causeless. There's no cause for His mercy. That means it's not that, oh, because of this, the Supreme Lord is giving this His mercy, because then otherwise there would be a cause. But His mercy is called causeless. And by His causeless mercy, He just gives His mercy. He empowers one to receive it. Yeah. That's why it's called causeless. There's no reason for Him to give this mercy, but out of His own love, He's giving it. Now, this is so appropriate to us that we are under the spell of the material energy, under this illusion that we are thinking I'm the body. This is my home, my family, my life, my job, whatever. And then what happens is we are averse to rendering devotional service. We are like, why should I? What's the need? What's the need for me to practice Krishna consciousness? I'm happy in my own world. But what happens is, because we are thinking that I'm this body and that whatever I'm doing belongs to me, we are not able to understand that if we engage in devotional service, we practice Krishna consciousness, then it will reveal our eternal relationship with Krishna. Each of us has this eternal loving relationship with God, which we have completely forgotten. We have forgotten our true relationship, our eternal relationship, our true identity. That's why God realization and self-realization happens together, hand in hand. Just like when the sun comes up, when it's completely dark, we can't see ourselves, we can't see anything around us. But when the sun comes up, everything becomes clear. We can see the sun, we can see everything around us, and we can see our own self too. So by engaging in devotional service, what happens is our relationship, which is eternal, we can revive it. And then we can go back home, back to Godhead, which is the ultimate goal of life. We don't need to be here in the material world anymore. again taking different types of bodies, again dying so many times. So, but we are unaware of these teachings. So Lord Chaitanya, out of his causeless mercy, he gave these teachings to Rūpa Gosvāmī and instructed Rūpa Gosvāmī to distribute this knowledge, this gyan of devotional service to everyone, by which we can revive our eternal relationship with Krishna.
In the prologue to the Bhakti-Rasamrita Sindhu, Rūpa Goswami describes Lord Chaitanya as follows: Hridiyasya preranaya pravartito aham varaka rupo api tasya hare pada kamalam vande Chaitanya devasya. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Deva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he has inspired me with the desire in my heart to write something about devotional service. For this reason, I am writing this book on the science of devotion, known as the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Beginning his 10 days of continual instruction to Rūpa Goswami, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Rūpa, the science of devotional service is just like a great ocean, and so it is not possible to show you its entire length and breadth. But I should try to explain the nature of that ocean by taking just one drop out of it. In this way, you can taste it and understand what that ocean of devotional service actually is."
Mahaprabhu is telling him, this is at Prayag, the Shasvamedha Ghat, where Lord Chaitanya is continuously instructing Rupa Goswami in the science of devotional service. It's called science. It's not a theory, because it's practical application of knowledge. One can actually engage in devotional service, actually engage in hearing, chanting, glorifying, worshipping the deity. That's why it's science. And then we can see the result. The result, Prema Pumartho Mahan, the goal of life, love of Krishna. So Mahaprabhu is saying this devotional service is like a great ocean, unlimited. He's saying, I will not be able to show you the length and breadth of it. Why? Because it's unlimited. But I will try to explain the nature to you. Just as we go to the salt ocean, if we cannot taste the whole ocean, it's so huge. But if we take a drop of that ocean water, we taste it, we will understand what the full ocean tastes like. No, we don't have to drink the whole ocean, do we? We don't have to drink the whole ocean to understand it's salty. Just one drop, if we taste, we'll understand, oh, the whole ocean is salty. So Mahaprabhu is saying, I will show you one drop. I will tell you about one drop of this. And by that, you will understand the nature of devotional service, ocean of devotional service. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Sindhu, the ocean. And then Bhakti, devotional service.
The Lord then explained that within this Mahananda or universe, there are innumerable living entities who, according to their own fruitive activity, are transmigrating from one species of life to another and from one planet to another. In this way, their engagement in material existence has continued since time immemorial. In actuality, these living entities are atomic parts and parcel of Supreme Spirit. It is said in the Svetasthara Upanishad that the length and breadth of individual sound is 1/10,000th part of the atomic magnetic of the living entity is confirmed in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 11.16.11 and in the 10th canto 10.87.30. Shananandana Kumara, while performing a great sacrifice, quotes the following statement by the personified Vedas. O Supreme Truth, if the living entities were not infinitesimal sparks of the Supreme Spirit, Each minute spark would be all-pervading and could not be controlled by a superior power. But if the living entity is accepted as a minute part and parcel of Supreme Lord, one can automatically understand how he is controlled by the Supreme Power. The latter is his actual constitutional position. And if he remains in this position, he can attain full freedom. If one mistakenly considers his constitutional position equal to that of Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes contaminated by the doctrine of non duality, and his efforts in transcendental life are rendered ineffective.
So Lord Chaitanya is telling Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda, this universe is full of living entities. Now, why are we we are living entities in different bodies. Some in bodies of human beings, some are in the fish, demigods, or trees, or birds, insects, reptiles. We have different types of bodies. We are all living entities. Now, why do we have these different bodies? It's because based on our desire and based on our karma, how we have acted previously. Based on that, we keep on getting newer and newer bodies, transmigrating. So, since time immemorial, we are in this, changing from one body to another, one body to another. Then he's trying to explain to him what is the position of this minute living entity. The living entity are actually atomic parts and parcels of the Supreme Spirit. So, what is the size of the individual soul that is mentioned in the Shvetasvatara Upanishad?
1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair.
Yes, that is the size of the soul. That's why we are called Jiva. Jiva means infinitesimal, insignificant. You see, we take the tip of a hair. It's already so tiny. Now we cut it into 10,000 parts. Not even possible for us physically to do it. But that's the size of one jiva, one living entity. And this is confirmed in all the Vedic scriptures, all the authorities. The scriptures are telling us the magnitude of the soul. Is mentioned in Bhagavatam 11th canto, 10th canto also, Sanandan Kumar. Sanandan Kumar is one of the four Kumaras, the four brothers. So he's one of the four Kumaras. And he's quoting from the Vedas, personified Vedas. The Vedas personified also, they also sing Vedic hymns. So he is quoting them. Then he's saying that if we were not minute, what would we be? We would be all pervading then. Because that's the position of God actually. He's all pervading. And then nobody would be able to control us. Because if we are all pervading, then who's going to control us? So then each of us is going to be all pervading and no one can control us. So then that means there are so many gods. But then there is no meaning to the word God then. God means one who's the supreme controller, that no one else can control him. So if we are all going to be God, then there is no meaning. So then he says, but the correct way to understand, if the living entity is accepted as minute part and parcel of God, then automatically we can understand, everything falls in place. If we can understand what's our true position, that we are not God, but we are part and parcel of God. We are not supreme, but we are part and parcel of the Supreme, a minute part, and we are controlled by the Supreme. That is our constitutional position. And if we can actually try to understand this, if we can actually try to realize this point, then we will become completely free. That is the point of freedom, independence, no more under the clutches of the modes of material nature. Here in this world, we are thinking we are independent, we are thinking we are free, but actually we are controlled by the modes. So if we think mistaken, if we mistakenly consider ourselves to be God, then our consciousness means is contaminated by the doctrine of non-duality. And then if we go ahead by thinking this point, then our progress in transcendental life is not going to happen. And anything we do towards getting transcendental knowledge, it's going to be ineffective because the foundation itself is wrong. Is that all right?
Yes.
Lord Chaitanya continued his teachings by pointing out that there are two kinds of living entities, the eternally liberated and eternally conditioned. The eternally conditioned living entities can be divided into two types, the moving and the non-moving. Those that remain in one place, trees, for example, are classified as stavara or non-moving entities, and those that move, such as birds and beasts, are called jangama or moving entities. The moving entities are further divided into three categories: those that fly in the sky, those that swim in the water, and those that walk on land. Out of the many millions and trillions of living entities on land, human beings are very few. Out of that small number of human beings, most are totally ignorant of spiritual science, are unclean in their habits, and have no faith in the existence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. In short, most human beings live like animals. Therefore, these can be deducted from the number of human beings that constitute civilized human society.
So now Lord Chaitanya is explaining to him how many kinds of living entities?
Two.
And who are they?
The eternally liberated and the conditioned.
Yeah, and then again, Lord Chaitanya is saying the eternally conditioned are how many?
Two types. The moving and the
they are?
non.
Okay. And then which are those that are non-moving?
Stavara, the trees,
Trees.
any
Yeah,
objects,
and
I think.
those yeah. Trees, here the example is given trees or non-moving. And those who move, they are called?
Birds, bees, jangama,
Okay. Yeah.
moving entity.
And then Lord Chaitanya is saying now the moving are again classified as three. So which are the three?
Those that fly in the sky, those that swim in the water, and those that walk on land.
Okay. So now flying in the sky, swim in the water, and walk on land. So there are trillions and trillions of such kind of living entities. Because we have to understand, even the fish are living entities. The birds are living entities. The reptiles are also living entities. And they're much more in number than the human beings. There's so many different types of these species, and human beings are very few. And out of this small number of human beings, already human beings are so few, but most of us do not understand spiritual knowledge. We don't have faith in the existence of God. We don't understand spirituality. And so Lord Chaitanya is saying, in short, most of the human beings live like animals because not understanding who am I, no knowledge of self-realization or of God. So he's saying, therefore, this can be deducted from civilized human society, because civilized human society means a human society that is endeavoring to cultivate spiritual knowledge, to try to understand, to try to use the intelligence that we have been given to try to understand our true constitutional position.
We can hardly find any human beings who believe in the Vedic scriptures and existence of God, or even in proper behavior. Those who do believe in these things and in advancing in spiritual life are known as Aryans. Out of those who believe in the scriptures and the advancement of human civilization, there are two classes, the righteous and the unrighteous. Those who are righteous generally execute fruitive activities to derive some good result for sense gratification. Out of many such persons who engage in righteous activities for sense gratification, only a few come to know about absolute truth. These are called empiric philosophers in search of the absolute truth. Out of many hundreds and thousands of such empiric philosophers, only a handful actually attain liberation. When one is liberated, he theoretically understands that the living entity is not composed of material elements, but in spirit soul, distinct from matter. Simply by understanding this doctrine, even theoretically, one qualifies as a mukta or liberated soul. But the actual mukta is he who understands his constitutional position as part and parcel of the Lord and as his eternal servant. Such liberated souls engage with faith and devotion in the service of the Lord, and they are called Krishna Bhaktas or Krishna conscious persons.
So now Lord Chaitanya is further saying that out of this civilized, he's saying majority, that means majority of the living entities, they don't know anything about God. Now the very few living entities who are advancing in spiritual life, they're called the Aryans because they're trying to understand about spiritual life. Out of these also there are two. They are the righteous and unrighteous. Now those who are righteous, they generally are following the karma kand, do some kind of good activity so that we can get some good result, so that we can enjoy further, we can enjoy more in this material world, because this is what the Vedas are telling us to do. So, oh, it's Sneha's birthday. Happy birthday, Sneha.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Sneha.
Thank you. Seek your
We
blessings.
sing for,
Yeah.
we all sing for Sneha.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna, dear Sneha. Hare Krishna to you.
Thank you. Thank you. We seek all your blessings, Krishna's blessings.
Yeah, Krishna's blessings always with you. It's such a nice devotee. So, and so let's continue reading. Sorry, I just got distracted. Sorry about that. So then, in the yoga ladder, also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about the yoga ladder that begins with karma kand, those who follow the Vedic rituals to get some good result, get some pious result, to get good karma, to enjoy life. Then by doing that, one might understand that, oh, but what's the reason? What's the use? I'm not actually enjoying. So then they come to that point of gyan. They're called gyanis. They're trying to understand the absolute truth. They're trying to do some philosophy, some sort of a search. And there could be millions of such people. Krishna also says that out of hundreds and thousands of such people, one may know him in truth. So out of many such jnanis, there's only one who might actually come to become liberated. Now, what is Lord Chaitanya saying? That this person, he's not even realized his position, but only theoretically he's understood that he's not the body. He's not yet actually there. He's not realized, but only theoretically understood. Then he's called a liberated soul. Now, but what does it actually mean to be liberated? Not understanding it only as a theory, not only as a knowledge, but one who has realized it. Then he understands that he is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, that he is the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. He understands that there is a loving relationship between him and Krishna. That is real liberation. He's understood his constitutional position. So such liberated souls, So then when one has completely understood, I'm not this body, I'm an eternal part and parcel of Krishna, I'm an eternal servant of Krishna, then what does such a soul do? He engages in devotional service. That is pure devotional service. They are called Krishna Bhaktas, Krishna conscious persons. This is what Lord Caitanya is teaching to Rūpa Gosvāmī. So earlier we already read that by engaging in devotional service, it reveals our relationship with God. So that's why it's called a science. It's not that simply a theory. No, it actually happens. One may say, no, I don't believe it. Well, then do it. Do it. Without doing it, how can we say that it's not possible? Actually take up devotional service and then see what's the result. So by engaging in devotional service, we can revive our real position. We can be situated in our real position.
Krishna Bhaktas are free from all material desires. Although those who are theoretically liberated by knowing that the living entity is not material may be classified among liberated souls, they still have desires. Their main desire is to become one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such persons are very much attached to performing Vedic rituals and righteous activities in order to enjoy material prosperity. Even when some of them transcend material enjoyment, they still try to enjoy in the spiritual world by merging into existence of Supreme Personality, Supreme Lord. Some of them also desire to attain mystic powers through the execution of yoga. As long as one of these desires are within a person's heart, he cannot understand the nature of pure devotional service. And on account of constantly being agitated by such desires, he is not peaceful. Indeed, as long as there is any desire for material perfection at all, one cannot be at peace. Since the devotees of Lord Krishna do not desire anything material, they are the only peaceful persons within the material world. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 14.5. Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha dashyam tat atma utishva api mahamuni. O great sage, out of many millions of liberated persons and persons who have achieved success in mystic yoga, it is very rare to find one who is completely devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is therefore filled with peace.
Then Lord Chaitanya continues to say that the Krishna conscious devotee, the pure devotee, they don't have any material desire. They are free from material desire. He's saying that although there are many of these liberated personalities, they're theoretically liberated. What is the theoretically understanding one is liberated? Understanding that, theoretically understanding that the living entity is not material, but is a spirit soul. So such a soul is also called liberated, but they still have desires. The desire is still there. The desire could be either to remain in the material world, to do some pious activity, to get some fame, or the desire could be to merge into the existence of God and become God. That's also a desire, to become God. So, and then to enjoy as God. So then this is also a material desire. Some also desire to get some mystic power, to do some, there's some siddhis one can get by doing yoga properly, get those ashta siddhis. So then Lord Chaitanya goes on to say that as long as we have any of these desires, the desire to become God, to become one with God, to merge into the existence of God, the desire to get any of the 8 kind of mystic siddhis, or the desire to get some pious karma so that can enjoy life to a greater degree. All these are material desires. They're pious desires, but then they're still material desire. And because these material desires are still there, the soul cannot be peaceful because he's not yet in his original position. His perfection is only if he understands that he is part and parcel of Krishna, because that is the real position of the soul. And Bhagavatam says that of many millions of liberated persons, or of the people who have achieved this yoga siddhis, very rarely we'll find one person who is a pure devotee of the Lord. So this is Lord Chaitanya's teachings to Rūpa Gosvāmī. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, from the Bhagavad Gita also, no? This verse is there, chapter 15. Mamevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Right? Manashastani indriyani kriti stana karshati.
Yes, good, thank you. Yeah, Mama Vamso Jiva Loke. These living entities are my parts and parcels. Yeah. Yes. So we can see Lord Chaitanya, he's speaking the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. It's not that he is, manufacturing something new. No, he's just repeatedly saying the same knowledge which Krishna has given in the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you so much for that, Sneha.
Thank you.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.